Today, we're diving into Harold Halibut, one of the most unique and visually stunning adventure games I've played in years. Developed by Slow Bros and released in 2024 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC.
Nice.
This game instantly stood out because of its unbelievable handcrafted world. Every character, every hallway, every tiny detail was physically built by hand over the course of more than 14 years, and you can genuinely feel that passion in every second of the game. And honestly, the moment I stepped into the world, I knew this wasn't going to be a normal Platinum journey. What was supposed to be a 20-hour adventure turned into nearly 30 hours for me. Not because I was stuck, but because I kept slowing down to absorb everything. The atmosphere, the conversations, the strange little moments hidden around the ship. This game just pulls you in. And somehow, through all of that, I managed to earn every single missable trophy naturally, one after another, without skipping ahead, replaying chapters, or jumping around with the guide open every 5 minutes. It felt like grinding trophies, and more like living through Harold's journeys myself. By the end of it, getting the Platinum didn't feel like checking boxes off a list. So today, I want to take you through the entire adventure, the world, the journey, the trophies, and what it was really like going for 100% in one of the most visually unforgettable indie games ever made. So grab your suit and let's dive in. At the start of Harold Halibut, the game introduces its strange underwater city where Harold lives his normal janitor life until he gets detained for an overdue water bill. The game expects you to sit down and wait for the fine to be paid, but instead I immediately try to leave through the exit door. Secretary 17 stops me and says,
"Do you really want to incur the fine for resisting the proxy payment procedure and temporary confinement protocol?"
So I try again, then he replies,
"Mr. Halibut, please do behave."
Most players will stop here, but I already know that was coming. So I tried leaving one more time. And that's how I unlocked an early missable trophy.
Yeah, boy.
Just by refusing to stay put and leaving 3 times instead of waiting like the game expects me to. Skipping ahead, I met the professor, and she directly described Harold as a very routine, predictable, and boring kind of person.
Boring!
After that boring conversation, I went to the lab, which is where the game introduced the all-water tube. So this is the main transport system where is the most important gateway to different locations, and you just need to take your first ride to get the tubular trophy. So I step into the tube, get lunch across the stations like a human torpedo, and as soon as the ride finishes, the tubular trophy pops up. After getting lunch through the all-water tube, I arrived at the lab, where the game starts giving me small tasks from the professor. Nothing big, just basic work to move the story forward. While moving around the area, I ended up in the lounge where Chris sits most of the time, and I noticed a TV is on. So there's a button that I can actually interact with the TV, and left it running for 5 minutes.
One eternity later.
basically watching the in-game channel until the plot thicken trophy pops up.
Another one.
I love the idea that the trophies is one of those moments where you're just doing simple actions in the background, but the game quietly rewards you for sticking around and paying attention to the world that as it unfolds. After getting the plot thickened trophies, I keep moving through the stations and start meeting more characters. So I met a character named Liz, who hilariously called Harold a bunch of names, and the game even fast forward parts of the conversation to keep things alive. Then I talked to the secretaries, and I just noticed something weird about their names. They are numbers. They all look almost identical, and they all brothers, just with slightly different accents, which makes the place feel even more uncanny.
Hey, that was weird.
And I also met a character named Tommy at the bar, and it's because clear how strict everything is here, like the station runs on a hidden rule for everyday life. After that, I entered the shop where the owner goes full sale pitch mode, constantly pushing and hyping skiing until Harold is basically convinced to try it. So I went for it, but I failed. At least I unlocked the après-ski trophy. After getting the après-ski trophy from Harold Halibut, I continued exploring and found Rafi's arcade shop in Agora Arcade. Inside, I played the minigame Rapid Fly Zone, a simple flying game where you move forward, collect coins, and try not to crash. To get the trophy, you just need a total of 2 minutes of gameplay in the minigame. So I started playing it in short sessions. Even if I die, the time still counts and carry over, so it doesn't have to be done in one run. After the total playtime reaches 2 minutes, I unlock a Winner is You trophy. After that, I talked to Rafi's. She started telling me that without school, there's no peace. All the kids are just scattered around and playing games all day. Moving along, I ran into Onat and asked what he'd been up to. You know, just the usual conversation and stuff. Then later, I met Buddy, and he was my favorite character in the game, and just like a father figure to Harold. And then Chris joined. They invited me to join their jogging team, and Chris was super authentic about it. I cheered them on and thought, why not? So I joined them for a jog, and I expected I was gonna win for sure, but never expected that Harold never trained jogging before. Although I unlocked the certification of participation trophy just by jogging with Chris and Buddy. Honestly, I didn't expect that simply interacting with the characters and saying yes to the request or activities would actually reward me with a trophy. That caught me off guard. For a game like this, it's pretty cool that doing a small side interaction can actually lead to achievements. After that exhausting jog, I stopped by the fishing hut and asked for a fisherman what he caught for today. Then I visited Captain at Large, or Zoya as he prefers, just to see if he needed anything. Next I ran into Sai, and this guy always sounds like he has 100 ideas at once. He asked for help with his 3D printer, so I checked it out, and instantly got shocked.
Charge, clear!
Turns out it was a prank all along. Harold clearly wasn't impressed, but maybe he was used to it. Later on, Harold noticed Bridget and Chris talking in the office, which made things a little bit suspicious at first. So we went to Tommy and brought it up, but Harold pointed out they're actually looking professional and there wasn't anything going on between them.
It looked totally professional. I didn't see anything bad.
That misunderstanding led to Tommy to focus on fixing his signage and finally express his feeling properly to Bridget. And just like that, boom, Tommy and Bridget got another chance together. After wrapping things up, I reported the missing rock to the professor. And somehow all of that, I unlocked the Managing Upward trophy. Honestly, I didn't expect helping people and getting pranked would lead to another achievement. So we got a message from the year 2102. 126 years after they left, totally normal. Then we meet the box-headed, haircut-looking woman, whose name is Madame CEO, offering drinks like it's a cafe. Harold asks for a coffee and she hits,
There's really no time for coffee. Time is of the essence.
bruh, why did she ask for that in the first place and reject Harold? Next thing you know, she thinks we already left and casually goes live on TV broadcasts a message from Earth, like it's fascinating to have a message that is more than a century old. I checked on the captain, he doesn't remember me at all. Instead, he started asking me about the meaning of life and my dead loved ones. I just came for a ship problems, not a therapy sessions. Then the professor shows me a mysterious box from the Lightkeepers. Still not sure if they're helping us or collecting us like Pokemons, but they're got the blue rock we need, so I'm not asking questions. I tried to rest, that lasted about 5 seconds. Bridget drags me into wiring stone controller. Furthermore, the filter station turns into a cleaning simulator. Real quick, before we jump back into the action, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's still watching. It means a lot that you're here following these wild adventures and trophy hunts with me. If you're enjoying the journey, don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe so you won't miss the next adventure. Now let's get back to the game. Harold went to the filter room to clean. Then Harold started singing like he's in a haunted karaoke room.
Isn't there more to life? I clean and I fix till my legs feel like bricks.
And then Tommy burst in looking for Filter Frankie, who I'm started to think this is just an imaginary friend. By the end, Bridget already got the samples and already delivered, and somehow I unlocked a trophy called New Luddite and rushed out before Bridget asked me for another favor. And honestly, I think the ship isn't running on science anymore. It's running on confusion. After a long journey, I headed to the professor lab, curious about the rock that has just been delivered, and then I just got. And even crazier, she tells us we might be able to relaunch to Earth after 86 years. So basically retirement plan. Walking out, I ran into Felix in the hallway. Harold talks about that secret. Naturally, I'm expecting something very huge, like maybe ancient conspiracy or hidden truth or maybe forbidden knowledge, but nope.
This, my friend, is the Tunnel of Secrets.
It looks like a ventilation shaft?
He showed me what it called Tunnel of Secrets, which turns out to be a vent. Just a different view angle of outside. But not gonna lie, the view is amazing. And it'd be perfect for people who's introverts or who wanna be staying away from socials. But that's it. We got clickbaited in real life. Just kidding. Anyways, we kept exploring the vents and I somehow fell deeper and couldn't get out. So Harold is trying to find another way out, but Slippy's installed a new tech that can freeze rats in the vents. Meanwhile, Harold absolutely feels cold and tries to get out quickly as possible before he gets frozen to death. But things got worse. When he accidentally walked into Madame CEO's office, he immediately regrets it and has to be rushed back because he's not feeling well. The professor helps him recover and he finally drags himself back to his room. And then the alarm goes off. Harold thinks it's just a drill, but it's not a drill. He rushed out, checking every facility, and when he reached the filter room, he noticed something is off. After that cinematic chaos that honestly gave me chills by looking at it, I ended up getting the Slice of Life trophy by completing the first chapter of the game. And yeah, that's one way to define a normal day on this ship. After making a shocking discovery at the filter station, the professor asked me to collect and gather all the boxes while she was busy dealing with an alien, I think, or maybe a fish. Honestly, I have no idea what that thing is. Anyways, after that, I headed down the hall. As I was walking by one of the rooms, I caught a glimpse inside and saw a major talking to his pet. Suddenly, the door slid open, startling him. He got so annoyed that he actually wrote me a ticket. As I kept moving and eventually entered another room, inside was a bathroom and someone was taking a shower. Turns out it was a Tannoy guy. He heard me snooping around, but instead of leaving, just kept talking to him. While talking to him, I unlocked a trophy called Rub-a-Dub-Dub. After the awkward conversation with the guy in the bathroom, I headed out and found Chris watching a show. He had a lot to say and just kept talking about all sorts of things. As I continued exploring, I passed by a water wiener vendor. I don't know why it's named that way, but yeah, sure. And went straight to check on Rafai's. Unfortunately, she was busy, so there wasn't much I could do there. A little further ahead, I spotted Zoya playing. He mentioned that a captain would soon be headed down to his ship, and honestly, it sounded pretty sad. So I decided to leave him to it and continue on my way. When I stepped outside, I noticed a guy putting on a performance. All I had to do is stay and watch the entire show. That's how I unlocked the Entertainment on a Fan Club trophy. Station and stopped by to the bar and checked on Zoya. He seemed pretty down about losing his position as captain of the ship, so I asked how he was doing. Surprisingly, he seemed to be handling it well, I guess. So I decided to let him do his things. A little later, I ran into Zoya again and asked him about his newfound freedom. This time, he admitted that he felt guilty about everything that had happened. From that point on, I made sure to talk to him whenever I saw him and listen to whatever he had to say. What a good friend of mine, right? This is also when you unlock the "Oh Captain, my Captain" trophy. Just keep checking on him, talking to him whenever the opportunity comes up, and listen to his conversation until the trophy pops up. I headed straight to the utility district and met Sunny. As expected, she immediately had me running errands. After answering what felt like a million questions from Sunny, I finally managed to get the blood samples I needed. With that taken care of, I went to see Buddy, the person who's responsible for handling deliveries around the station. While exploring the area, I came across a mysterious door. Unfortunately, I didn't know the password, so there was no way for me to get inside. Maybe we'll figure that out later in the game. After that, I headed into one of the halls and noticed some vandalism sprayed across the wall that says,
With great power comes great responsibility. Huh?
I unlocked a trophy called Clean Machine Trophy by simply cleaning all the graffiti on the same wall and didn't leave any trace behind. After the whole Spider-Man vandalism incident, well, sort of, Harold found himself returning to visit a strange fish-like creature. He didn't expect to answer his vents out. In fact, he knew it couldn't. But with so many thoughts running through his mind, Harold simply needed someone to talk to. Earlier, Harold also shared a heartfelt conversation with Bridget, and for once it felt like someone had truly listened to him. That feeling stayed with him. Day after day, he came back. He shared stories, talked about life on the ship, and even tried teaching the fish his language. Then, one day, everything changed. The professor arrived with a translator device. Nobody knew if it's gonna work. But when it was activated, the impossible happened.
Oh, I can understand you.
I can understand you.
The fish really spoke. Confused and curious, she immediately began asking questions about where she was and what happened to her. Harold and the professor eagerly answered, while she plenty asked for questions of their own. As their conversation continued, the fish became less of a mystery and more of a friend. Before long, Harold and the professor and their new companion began planning a journey beyond the ship, hoping to uncover answers about the world outside and the secrets the fish might hold. As you follow the fish and the professor onto the ship, you unlock a trophy new. The adventure begins, marking the start of a brand new journey. A fitting name for the next chapter of Harold's story. As we continue traveling, the fish casually told me how they ended up in Fedora and what life was like there. Before long, we finally reach our destination. Harold never thought he'd have to swim, but with the fish encouraging him, he pushed through. He had never ever stepped on land or a rock before, so thankfully the fish were there to explain everything. We began exploring the cave and Harold couldn't stop asking questions. What is this? Where does the path go? Everything was new and exciting to him. Then suddenly he stopped in his tracks, completely stunned by what he saw. The fish laughed and told him that was only the beginning. There was still so much more to see inside the cave. As we explored further, the fish went off to take care of something. While they were busy, I wandered around on my own, trying to interact with the creatures without the translator or earpiece. Harold has no idea if they understood him, but he tried anyway. Then I met two little kids who started teaching me something. I honestly had no idea what was going on, but I just went along with it. A moment later, the fish returned, and Harold immediately thought he was in trouble or accidentally taking part in some strange ritual. The fish quickly reassured him Harold wasn't offending anyone, but some of the locals thought he wasn't being very polite by their customs. Once everything was cleared up, we continued our tour deeper in the cave. The fish showed Harold around their shops and even let him try some of their food. Surprisingly, it was actually delicious. They also explained the places that Harold didn't understand at first, and he was amazed to learn the purpose behind the different structures and what the fish did in their daily lives. Then Harold suddenly remembered the mysterious particles they had been investigating without hesitation. He asked the fish about them, and they immediately showed him the way. When they arrived, Harold was completely amazed by what he saw. The fish explained that the particles were coming from a massive hole deep below. According to them, some of the aluminum had tried to explore it before, but none of them ever returned. Hearing that made the place feel even more mysterious. Harold immediately called Moreau to report his findings, but the professor answered instead. She sounded a little worried, probably thinking Harold wouldn't be able to gather much information down there. Still, Harold was determined to do his best and collect whatever information he could. As Harold made his way to the library, he became fascinated by a mysterious jellyfish he encountered for the first time. At first, the experience shocked him, but as he learned more about it, with a little help from observing the fish around him, he discovered something incredible.
What was that all about?
Curious and determined, Harold continued his search for a special jellyfish that might reveal the secret behind what everyone called the crack. The discovery amazed him so much that he immediately asked the librarian if he could take one of the jellyfish home. The librarian agreed, but only if Harold promised to handle it with great care. After a long and mysterious day, Harold headed home. He couldn't wait to share everything he had learned. The next day, Harold excitedly explained everything he had seen to the professor, but
Interesting. Interesting indeed.
they got caught. Soon, the information attracted widespread attention. Madame CEO and the cruise ship arrived to investigate, eventually leading to the creation of Alta Water Corporation. By the following path and uncovering its secret, I completed chapter 3, and I also unlocked a trophy named A New Shape of Soul. After the tube to the Flumelin cave was completed, the professor and Bridget headed there to gather information and finally satisfy their curiosity about the mysterious fish. After meeting and interacting with the fish, I returned to the sitter station only to find a funeral taking place. Sadly, it was for Buddy. I never expected the story to take such an emotional turn. Sucks to see Buddy too passing away this early. With so much happening, Harold decided he needs some rest. When he entered his room, he discovered a package of letters left behind by Buddy, leaving him wondering.
But why?
The next day, it's back to Harold's usual routine of helping around the ship. During his task, he comes across 2 Flumelin visitors and helps them explore the station and find where they want to go. While wandering around, I ran into Sunny, who was selling her cupcakes. She asked for a favor, convincing Water Wiener to move his business to the Flumelin cave because he got the best spot. I simply went to the Water Wiener and explained that the cave offered better opportunities, access to new customers, and higher quality ingredients. He actually agreed to move, and suddenly I unlocked a trophy called Insider Trading. As Harold explores the ship and talks to everyone, the new pathway connecting the station and the Flumelum Cave begins to transform life for both humans and fish. New discoveries and interaction can be seen everywhere. The fish are browsing the local shops, Tommy is entertaining curious visitors, and some of the fish have even started enjoying a drink at the bar. Tourism is booming, with the secretary offering tickets and earbuds to newcomers. Meanwhile, Water Weenie is thriving in the cave, making use of fresh ingredients from the Flumelums, and even the captain can be spotted wandering around with his pet. I took some time to explore the ship and interacted with different characters as they adapt to this new way of life. Once I saw all these exchanges take place, I unlocked a trophy called Exchanger Arranger. As I headed back to my room, I remembered the letters that Buddy had left behind. Curious, I picked one up and started reading. The letters was about Harold. In it, Buddy explained that Harold would be acting as his proxy while he's away. After that, I went through the rest of the letters and discovered that every character in the game had one addressed to them. It turned out these letters were supposed to be delivered a long time ago, but for some reason, they were only being received now. One by one, I personally delivered each letter. Their reactions were priceless. Some characters were surprised, while others were completely shocked after reading what had been written to them. Later I checked in with Sleepy and asked if he needed any help. Before I could even finish asking, Harold immediately volunteered to assist. Sleepy only needed help connecting a few tubes to a machine for testing. Once I finished hooking up the tubes and got everything connected, I unlocked a trophy called the Lukewarm Trophy. As I continued delivering the messages and collecting more letters, I picked up a letter addressed to Harold. To my surprise, there was one more letter for him from Buddy. When Harold read it, it was incredibly heartwarming. It was filled with encouragement, wisdom, and kind of words that meant a lot to him. After that heartfelt letter, I was given a task to go to the filter station. There, I stumbled upon someone? It was either Tommy or Filthy Frankie. I honestly wasn't sure. He went on one of his usual rants about his lover Bridget and their constant fights. Before leaving, he handed Harold an adapter and told him not to tell anyone about it because it was a secret. After that confusing encounter with Tommy's strange personality, I delivered the final message to Chris. The message was about having one last jog with Harold, and they did that. That's how I unlocked a trophy called the Postman Always Ring Twice Trophy. If you can remember, there was a door I visited after talking to Buddy, but I didn't have the password yet. This time Felix gave me the password, so I decided to go back. Harold thought the people inside the room would be the Lightkeepers, and they were. To his surprise, all of them were the kids from the ship. They happily welcomed Harold in their club and asked if there was anything he could help them with.
How can I help?
The kids immediately told him about the watch that Madame CEO wanted to keep hidden. They even had a clue about where it was located. According to them, the watch contained the truth about what time it really is. The kids then shared their plan with Harold, and so they put their plan into action. When they arrived at Madame CEO office, the kids began confronting her about their beliefs regarding time, the watch, and they thought about what they were hiding. Suddenly, the conversation shifted toward Harold.
What? How old are you anyway?
I'm in my 20s.
Wow, I'd never dig that.
The kids commented on his age, saying he looked grumpy and old, and Harold responded,
Can we not focus on my age, please?
Eventually, Madame CEO had enough. She explained everything to the kids and told them what the situation was really about. Afterward, she shouted at them and ordered them to get out. The kids returned to their secret room and shared their thought about what happened despite Madame CEO's explanation. They remained determined to uncover more about her secrets and continued to believe there was something that wasn't telling them right. Then Madame CEO made a public announcement. The secretary revealed the secret about what had happened to the clock and time and took full responsibility for the incident. Even after hearing the secretary's explanation, the kids were still convinced there was more to discover. However, they decided to split up and get some rest. Harold was exhausted after everything that had happened that day, so he decided to go to bed. The next day, Harold went straight to the professor and told him about everything that had happened. However, the professor interrupted him and immediately started talking about the crack. The professor explained that the crack looks promising and could potentially be the source of an alien energy with miraculous properties. She wanted Harold to investigate it further and go down into the crack. After their conversation, Harold headed to Gotham prison. While there, he overheard the locals talking about the crack and the Lightkeepers conspiracy theories. I stayed and listened to every conversation until the very end. And that's how I unlocked the trophy called Busybody Trophy. After hearing all that gossip, Harold ran into the Major. To Harold's surprise, the Major issued him a ticket for participating in the kids incident. In Harold's defense, he argued that he didn't actually broken any law on the ship. The Major responded by saying that Harold should be setting a good example for the children. Fortunately, Madame CEO decided not to press any charge against him. Since the Major was busy with more important matters, he ultimately let Harold off with just a warning. I immediately headed down to the Flimlum cave to deliver the probe and adapter to Bridget. She became suspicious for a moment and questioned where the adapter came from. I was given several options for an explanation, and luckily I think I chose the right one. Afterwards, I visited Sai to see how he was doing. He was struggling with a calculation problem and admitted that he was running out of options. Thankfully, Harold remained optimistic and encouraged him, saying,
You've got the Herald option. Now, where should we start?
Later, Harold joined the team at Flimlum Cave to discuss their plan for exploring the crack. To test whether it was safe, they decided to lower a fish into the crack first. When they pulled it up, the fish looked disoriented, but wasn't dead. According to the fish, it was simply dazed. From this, the group concluded that entering the crack was possible, and they began making preparation for the expedition. Once everything was ready, the team discussed who would go down into the crack. Flimlum eagerly volunteered, excited at the chance to become the first Flimlum to show real interest in exploring it. The others then began suggesting who else should join the mission. At first, Harold is just listening to them pointing at each other, but eventually
I accept.
Yes! Yes!
After the meeting, I went outside to gather my thoughts. Harold suddenly realized he needed to use the restroom and entered one of the cubicles. While there, he heard someone quietly sobbing. It turned out to be Secretary 24. Secretary 24 opened up that how he was being forced to resign because of the recent incident. He felt as if thought he had been treated like a disposable tool, useful only when needed, and discarded afterward despite all his loyalty and dedication to the ship. When I left the restroom, I found all of the secretaries gathered on a stage. They were laughing, bonding, and enjoying each other's companies like brothers. Thanks to Harold listening to Secretary 24 and offering advices, the group has reconnected. Inspired by the renewed brotherhood, they decided to revive the a cappella brotherhood and the music group they used to be. After listening to their performance, I unlocked the trophy called Family Ties and Uniform Trophy. Before heading down into the crack, The Flumelons gave Harold an appreciation gift to thank him for all of his help and for agreeing to accompany Wii on the expedition. With their preparation completed, the group began their descent into the crack, ready to uncover whatever mysteries awaited them below, and suddenly their bubbles popped. That's how we completed chapter 4 and unlocked the trophy called Cultural Liaison Trophy. Going back to Harold, he found himself stranding in the hallway when suddenly alarms began blaring from filter station, and then Harold woke up. At least he thought he did.
Home at last.
The room looked like his room, but something felt off. Before he could make sense of it, Felix walked in. The whole situation felt like dreamlike, as if their reality itself wasn't quite right. Felix then summoned a portal and said,
Good luck, Harold. Hope I never see you again.
As I stepped through the portal, I found myself facing 4 different paths, almost like different universes branching off from one another. I had no idea what any of them meant, so I simply chose one of them and continued forward. Suddenly I woke up in a hallway again. It felt like another bad dream. As I gathered my thought, people began approaching me with deliveries. One package became 2, then 3, then dozen more. The deliveries kept piling up until I could barely carry them. Eventually the stack became too much that everything came crashing down. Then I woke up beside Wii. Harold opened up to him, asking whether he was actually useful to others and whether his work truly helped people. Wii listened partially and reassured him that he did matter. He told Harold that he helped make people's lives easier every day. After that conversation, the portal appeared once again. I stepped through another path, only to find myself trapped in yet another nightmare. This time, Madame CEO was chasing me, and she was absolutely gigantic. Once again, I woke up beside Wheel. This time, Harold questioned his entire life. He's wondering what he was really doing and whether he had ever had any freedom to choose his own path. Frustrated, he shouted that he has been born into the role on the ship, and that everything felt pointless. To him, it seemed like he was nothing more than a worker following orders, with no real choice in the matter. And then the portal returned. I stepped through yet another path. This dream was even stranger. Harold and we were simply floating back and forth in a swimming pool. Nothing much happened, and honestly I had no idea what was going on anymore. Then I woke up with Wee again. This time, their conversation was about perspective. They talked about life, their journey through the crack, and how different people find meaning in different ways. Soon enough, the portal appeared once more. The dreams become increasingly bizarre. Reality seems to break apart as it shows that both POVs of Harold and Wheel appeared, their perspectives overlapping and intertwining in ways that made less and less sense. Then, for what felt like the final time, this place looked different. It almost felt like part of its crack itself, though I wasn't entirely sure. The two continued walking forward until they noticed something that was very strange in the distance. Curious, they followed it deeper into the unknown. Then, without warning, a dragon emerged from beneath the water. Rather than running away, Harold and Wheel courageously flew to it. And that's how I finished chapter 5 and unlocked a trophy called Chasing Dragons.
Well, 'cause 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 'cause
Finally, when Harold and Wee returned to the cave, Bridget was relieved but worried at the same time. Everyone thought they had been gone for a few hours, but they actually been missing for 2 weeks. Bridget explained that the tube system back to the Fedora had been broken. During that time, she had been built a submarine and planned to use the energy particle Harold carried as its powered source.
How about the one you're holding?
As they approached Fedora, temperature dropped dramatically and the ship was covered in ice. They headed to the submarine dock to investigate. At the beach, they managed to restore power and reconnect to the cameras, which Professor immediately noticed. They soon learned that the entire situation was caused by Slippy and his dream of creating the largest winter sport amusement park in the universe. Since Slippy has bypassed security, locked all the doors, and isolated himself inside, Raffaele guided Harold through the system to unlock what he could, and when Harold finally unlocked them from the arcade, their next goal was to repair the tube network so everyone could reach the energy district and confront Slippy's. Meanwhile, Harold remembered the connection between the agriculture district and the energy harvester. Bridget suggests using the conveyor belts, allowing Harold and Weo to get inside. At the end of the conveyor belt, they found Slippy just as the Major and the others arrived. Chris immediately punched him. As everyone discussed the crisis, Harold finally revealed the truth about the Time Hawks to Professor and Sai. Suddenly, everything made sense. Sai and the Professor realizing they still had time for the relaunch program. They also noticed that Madame CEO and Captain Zoya were missing. After finding and freeing them, the Professor asked Madame CEO to explain how she had reduced the estimate time by 8 years. With her explanation and Sai calculation, they discovered that instead of having only 8 days left, they actually had. This meant they still had plenty of time to prepare, calculate and clean up, and also get ready for the relaunch. This concludes chapter 6, bringing Fedora back to life, and I unlock a trophy called Justice is a Dish Best Served Warm Trophy. As the relaunch program drew closer, Harold visited the people through the ship, checking on them in his usual way and asking how they were doing. When he approached Madame CEO, Harold noticed that she was changing the all-water logo and asked why. Brenna explained that she wanted to rebrand the corporation and create a more transparent workplace with less hierarchy. From now on, everyone would be on first-name basis, even the secretaries. She also invited Harold to call her by her first name, Brenna. After talking with Brenna, I unlocked a trophy called Fortogest Trophy. This is a collectible trophy earned by completing all notes and speaking to every available character up to the chapter. Moving forward, while playing the game, I saw that I am missing one of the trophies that required me to play the game for straight 15 hours non-stop. So I left the game open and waited for the trophy to pop up, and that's how I got a trophy called Slow Bro. Fast forward to the final days before the relaunch. Harold visited Weo and told her how difficult it would be to leave everyone behind in the cave. The two shared an emotional goodbye. As Harold walked toward the tube, something suddenly struck him, and he turned around to say one last thing to Weo.
I want to stay.
Harold also said goodbye to Ginny. This time she wasn't angry at all. Instead, she was happy for him. Together, they shared a heartfelt farewell. After all the preparations, calculations, and hard work, the crew finally launched the Fedora. As the Fedora soared into space, the stars aligned into Buddy's face. For a moment it felt like he was there again, before the stars gently flickered, like a final wing goodbye. a quite emotional tribute to Buddy. As the credit rolls, I unlocked a Home is Where the Heart Is trophy for completing the full game of Harold Halibut. Moments later, I finally earned a Platinum trophy called Fedora Explorer for unlocking every trophy in this game. And that brings us at the end of Harold Halibut and my Platinum trophy journey. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to this channel. And please turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future trophy hunts and game playthroughs. If you played Harold Halibut, let me know in the comments what's your favorite moment. And if you have any game suggestions, please drop them in the comments as well. Thank you again for spending time with me. I truly appreciate all the support. Until the next adventure, take care, stay safe and happy gaming. See you in the next video.